Today, I'm going to talk to you about the top 5 things that people want to know about before making a move to Miami. And I'm going to get started now. Hey everyone, my name is Jamey Prezzi. I'm a real estate agent in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, and I work with my husband Ognjen Prezzi and our team. And today I'm going to talk to you about the top 5 things that people want to know about before making a move to Miami, Florida. But first, before I get started, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another update. We do put out new videos every week. Also, use the link in the information box and feel free to download our relocation guide or reach out to us by text, email, or the old-fashioned way, just give us a call. Okay, let's get started. One of the top things that people always ask us when they're thinking about making a move to Miami is, do you really have hurricanes and is it really hot there all the time? And the answer is yes and yes. That's the reality of living where we live. There can be very strong storms throughout the years here. Some years are worse than others. Fortunately, they do have a lot of warning systems in place. We typically know about these storms before they actually hit land. You can make the best call for your family depending on your comfort level of the storm. But you will find out very quickly that once you get here, there are several months. Actually, it's interesting because hurricane season starts in June and goes through November. And very often people think it's just in the summertime, when in fact, very often, a lot of the stronger storms are in the fall season in September, October, and early November. So that's important to know. Also, it's good to know that a lot of the building codes have been increased over the years, and they have been better qualified, I would say, over the years than many years ago. Our building codes are very strong here. A lot of the newer buildings, they do have impact windows, and a lot of places do, especially single family homes, have impact windows and also the storm protection over the windows. Ultimately, it's a call based on where you are choosing to live. You'll have to decide on your comfort level of the type of property that you choose to purchase. But the reality is we live in a place where a hurricane and a major hurricane can come, and that's the risk of living in our area. Also, throughout the year, it's pretty hot and it's very humid. The good news is it makes you feel pretty good all year, even though it's warm. And over the years, your body does become acclimated to this weather. It doesn't feel so hot after you've lived here for a while. And when we hit those cooler temperatures, you know, like the 70s or 60s in the winter time, I know people are laughing at me, but it's true. It feels very nice outside to most of us Floridians, especially on the more southern part of Florida. So just something important to know that yes, we do have strong weather, and yes, it is very hot. Another thing that's really important to know that people always ask me about, and that is about the cost of living here. Now, pre that whole situation with the pandemic and everything, it could be in some ways more affordable, but because so many people have been moving to Florida over the last few years, that has definitely pushed the real estate pricing up. If you want to rent or you want to buy, it is definitely a lot more expensive than it used to be in the past. And so it's important to know that the cost of living in Miami-Dade and also Broward County can be expensive. And a lot of times people, you know, say, okay, well, I'm moving from another big city. It can't be that expensive. I think you just have to really put pen to paper and do your budget. But yes, it can be very expensive to live in Miami, especially in the hot areas and especially in some of the luxury buildings. You know, it's not a inexpensive place to live. The good news is that there is really pricing for a lot of different price points. I mean, some neighborhoods have pricing from properties that start from like $350 up into like, you know, 25 million. I know it's a huge difference. So it really just depends on what you are expecting to get for your money. A lot of our clients who do move here from other, you know, locations around the world in the United States where they're used to buying single family homes for a certain price point. And sometimes that price point can be a little bit of a sticker shock here. So just important to know that it is expensive to live in Miami and also in Broward County. Another thing that people ask me is if they really need a car to live in Miami. It depends. You know, it's going to depend on how you are spending your time every single day. I know that, you know, for us, for example, we're real estate agents. We have to drive around the city all the time. Also, if we were not real estate agents and we needed to take our son somewhere, I mean, we really have to drive off the beach a lot every single day in order to get anything accomplished. So I think if you live on the beach and you don't really have that much activity off the beach, you could probably get around South Beach, the 33139 area of Miami Beach, fairly okay without a car. You could Uber, and then if you need to, you know, fly back to New York or California, wherever you're coming from, you can always just take an Uber and get over back to the airport. And obviously we use Uber here all the time, and also some of those other car services. So you can definitely get around without a car. If you live in the suburbs, you're probably going to want to have a car. And Brickell, I could say you could probably get around without a car, just depending on what your lifestyle is there. But the rest of the city, you probably will need to have at least some type of, you know, planned transportation, because you'll need that car to access to get to other parts of the city. Another thing that people ask me a lot about is they've heard stories about getting financing here, especially when it comes to purchasing condominiums. I would say that is a very tailored approach. You need to make sure that you're working with a lender who knows what they're doing, because when it comes to condominium financing, especially in our cities, and that's for Miami-Dade and Broward counties, you need to make sure you use a specialist, because sometimes if you're just working with a more generalist in terms of getting financing, maybe you just called someone at your bank, they may or may not be experienced with financing here. So I would highly recommend that if you do need financing, that you have a conversation with someone who's specialized in financing for condominiums in our area. It's just important because there's a lot of little nuances. I always go over this at a buyer consultation in a lot of detail, but just know that it can be a bit tedious, but you have someone who knows what they're doing, it's a lot easier. And what about the beaches and all the outdoor activities? Well, I can tell you, we have beautiful beaches up and down the coast between the two counties. Also, we have a lot of outdoor activities throughout the year. We spend a lot of time outside, which is the best part about living in our area. One thing that I love is that we have many, many parks and recreational facilities throughout both counties. And let me tell you, we use them. If you go to any park, especially in Miami-Dade, because that's where we live and we're out in the evening every single night. If you go to any park in Miami-Dade, I can tell you it will be packed at night. People like to use the parks. They like to use the facilities. There's even workout facilities at a lot of these parks. Trails, biking, hiking, water sports, soccer fields, which you know we love. I mean, people really, really use the parks here. There's a lot of park rangers who are monitoring these parks, and there's just a lot going on outside in the evenings in our city. And I think that's what makes Miami so incredible, is that we are really outdoor people here. We like to be outside even though it's really hot. I know it's really hot, but you'll get used to it, don't worry. But it's just good for your life. It's good for the vitamin D, and it's just an incredible place to live. I know that these are questions that people ask us all the time before moving to Miami. I hope these helped answer some of your questions. We're always here to be a resource for you, and we will see you soon.